Today's scenario, obvious as it may seem, is defined by the fact that we've gone from a simple to a complex world, which furthermore is increasing its complexity too rapidly in an unbearable way. At first glance, the most evident outcome of that complexity is fragmentation. The advertising reality has burst into thousands of pieces in a way that reminds what happened with the real reality that is studied by the physics in the mid-20th century. Then, physics developed branches with names such as theory of relativity, theory of complexity, or theory of chaos. And now advertising is facing its entrance in that particular world, the world of complexity. We can get a clearer idea of what I mean by comparing the categories in the Cannes Lion Festival in 1990 and this year. If you look 1990, it was a festival of film, TV only, 23 categories, I think, and that's all. Now we have lions, of course, film lions of TV, but we have press lions, we have outdoor lions, we have direct lions too, we have media lions, we have cyber with all these categories inside, we have radio lions and promo lions too, titanium and integrated lions, environmental design, okay, design as a category, PR, almost 13 or 14 categories, which shows which kind of business we are facing now. Is there a way back to simplicity, as some suggest? I hope there isn't. Simplicity's been linked in the past to absolute ideologies and religions, those that declare a truth, a unique truth, as if such thing could exist. Now we live amid complexity because the absolute truth doesn't exist anymore, and all our points of reference are gone. That makes us feel abandoned in a way. The dominance of mass media such as TV was for the advertising world something like a dictatorship, an absolute. I believe that the access to freedom and knowledge makes societies more conscious of the complexity they live in. And if we want to stick to that freedom gained, we must be able to live with complexity and chaos. That's what I hope and also what I believe. On the other hand, the main guilty for that new chaos, which is the use of internet, it's also the best mean to fight against the return of the absolutist simplifications. The web helps the world to keep in touch, and collaborating is the best way to survive amid complexity and keep our contests. So, this ever-growing fragmentation in which we live has carried out an immediate consequence: hyper-specialization. Always more specialists devoted to work on more fragments, always smaller. The moment has come when those specialists can't go any further on their own. It is impossible to make any progress without a wider perspective of the world, and there comes the urgent need to collaborate. In technologies of the information, we are constructing bridges with experts in quantum computation, with the biologists, experts in complex systems. Predicting is very difficult. Which is clear is that there has passed the time of the isolated inventor. Everything what is advanced will be a fruit of the collaboration. Thus, it is not possible to forget the importance of the basic specializing science. The same happened with science during the last century. The discovery of complexity arouses two immediate reactions. On the one hand, the need to talk with other specialists, the need to understand the world from other points of view, the need to collaborate. On the other hand, the need of a broader perspective, a holistic vision. So we are specialists, we are looking closer to the world, and we need to step back and have more perspective. I believe in the life in the border. Collaboration is important not only as a necessary tool if we want to move further and understand reality. Collaboration also generates better products and, above all, more original and sometimes completely original products. We live in a connected and global world. We can easily move through the borders, those places where different disciplines meet and the most interesting things happen. That's the melting pot where hybridism, which is one of the main characteristics of our time, occurs. So I regard collaboration as a way to balance an asymmetric and balanced scenario. A scenario that inevitably tends to hyper-specialization and thus must be balanced by means of a richer interdisciplinary dialogue and a broader global vision. That quest for balance demands an immense effort, given that nowadays we know that reality doesn't tend to balance. The present financial crisis, for instance, proves that. So we need balance. And why do we need that global perspective? Because we work for consumers with a global perception. In fact, a fragmentary vision is an illness. As it follows, if a brand is sending fragmentary messages, it's eliciting in the consumer a fragmentary idea of that brand, making extremely difficult the understanding and construction of meaning and values. Just as a matter of fact, I firmly believe that we have to collaborate, but I also believe that we don't know how to do it, that we must learn to collaborate. If we want to learn, first we have to unlearn. There is some inertia we've inherited from the previous situation, the simple situation in which we used to live. And those inertias arouse big conflicts when it's time to collaborate. As a result, if we want to learn to collaborate, it is fundamental to unlearn some things and enter a new world with a new mentality. I have this quote that I love by Edward Bernays, a father of the propaganda, modern propaganda in the States, which explains this with better words. One of those inertias, maybe the more relevant one, is the basic mistake when trying to define our business, our job. We tend to think that we work in the creative business, but that's not true at all. All jobs involve the use of creativity, from housewives to lawyers, including carpenters or doctors. Creativity is an essential human tool that is of great help in problem-solving processes, and we, who work in advertising, have arrogantly made exclusively ours. I have an example I've seen I saw in a British magazine called Surface 10 years ago, and I use a lot in conferences, that shows in a dramatic way how homeless in New York began excellent creatives only for the urge to fight against competition. It was during the Ronald Reagan presidents. There were more homeless in the streets, fighting for the coins of the people in the streets. So they began this is a real example. The cardboards of the homeless are real. They began a small advertising history in 1 year. This is the basic information. This is the advertising as in the primitive mood or way. And then they began to sophisticate and made more perfect the messages. I only need a little help, which is beautiful, more emotional. The beginning of graphic design, of art direction, very bad result, but it's an attempt. Homeless man needs your help, would appreciate some loose change, thank you. The appreciation of color, and a lot of messages. I'm too thin, I have no dollars to eat, or for shoes, I need to eat to put on weight. Strange reason why to ask for money. More color, more images, more sophistication in the design. I'm hungry and have no money and I just want to go home. Give me a little something, please, thank you. This is a very, very, very sophisticated ad, or cardboard, excuse me, who shows some real elaboration. Hungry, homeless, and broke, thank you. Anything will do, especially money for the laundrette. have a nice day, a lot of messages, a lot of images, color. This is very good. Have a nice day. Anything will do just great. Your heroes smile for a sunny day with this smile, a graphic smile, so beautiful. And the last one, which is a very contemporary ad or cardboard. I'm ugly and everyone hates me. I need a beer. Which is a good example of
the beginning of humor in
yeah. But it's a good example to be humble in advertising. We are not the proprietaries of the creativity business. You may say, okay, no, we are working in advertising, we're selling brands and products. And that's true, we all know it, but we all behave differently, under the conviction that our role is creativity. The whole of our business is built on that basis. We call ourselves creative directors. We meet in creative clubs that speak in our name, and our magazines are called Creativity or Creative Review. All the advertising festivals underline the crucial importance of creativity. We spend all day talking about creativity and how important it is, especially in these hard times. I also demand from my working teams a more creative work. Even more, in the 80s, and due to that obsession with the tool, not with the essence, and not with most agencies who claimed for a creative approach to the business, got rid of their media department. Now, they deeply regret it. Indeed, fragmentation and dispersion have made us realize, in a McLuhan's way, that the media is as important or more as the message. Yes, of course, we use creativity as a tool, and the better we use it, the better the results. But our job is to sell, to add value to products and brands, so those are finally shortlisted by the consumer. The words that we use to define ourselves are important. Let me remind you what happened to Kodak, only because they didn't really know which business they were in. Are the words of Charles Day, partner of the Looking Glass, a consultancy, a British consultancy. For over 100 years, they told everyone who would listen that they were the best film company in the world. And for 100 years, everyone who wanted to take pictures believed them. Professionals, amateurs, holiday, snap artists. The yellow and gold box was a brand icon a long time before anyone coined the phrase. In fact, they did such a great job telling everyone they were the best film company in the world that they started to believe that was important. The problem was Kodak weren't in the film business. They were in the image capture business. But because becoming the best image capture company was not the goal, they ignored the digital revolution. As it turned out, we didn't care which medium we used to capture the image. So when digital technology came along, suddenly we didn't have to drop it off to get it processed. We could see the results immediately and delete the ones we didn't like. And since Kodak didn't do any of that, we went and found people that could, like Canon, Nikon, Fuji, or Sony. By the time they realized the difference, Kodak was a brand without a point. Something similar happened with the music business now and with the advertising business too. They thought they were selling CDs in music instead of songs, for instance. The fundamental prominence of creativity has two serious consequences. Firstly, it drastically reduces the value of our real contribution. Secondly, and that affects the way we collaborate, we really believe we are creative. Everybody says that Ferran Adrià, you know, the Spanish cooker, is the most creative cook in the world. But he insists, interview after interview, in saying that he's only a cook, and just a cook. That's crucial. We've started to discuss whether our work is art or not in advertising. And that's the most dangerous discussion. In the last years, there's even the notion of authorship, rather illogical in such a team-focused business. And we say, that's my idea. And when one feels that and is profoundly convinced of it, collaboration is impossible. Collaborating demands mainly generosity. That's something we have to learn, and in my opinion, is the main feature of a good creative director. Another inertia from the past is remuneration. As long as the client's money is divided among different specialists arbitrarily, it is normal for the specialists to focus in getting the possible biggest share of the cake. The wrong remuneration method leads us to the wrong attitude. When the specialists compete instead of collaborate, as the same that happens when a house is undergoing renovation works and each worker criticizes the other works. The electrician criticizes the plumber, the bricklayer, the house painter. That remuneration issue is not new or easy, but it's extremely important, especially in this collaborative environment. Some other factors make collaboration a difficult task. Different disciplines have different processes and timings with a different priority scale and different approaches that would be endless to list. Short term versus long term, etc., etc. Then again, I'd like to point out another factor that has an effect on both you and your future job. I've said that collaboration lies in a search for balance, and that balance consists mainly in opposing a global, holistic, broad, and comprehensive vision to that of the specialists. I believe, and that's only an opinion, but my opinion, that collaboration demands leadership. From my point of view, leadership in a collaboration process must come from the person that has more comprehensive and global vision. Only that will counteract the brutal strength of the fragmentation inertia. We must also keep in mind that our final goal is to reach a customer that has a global perception of the world. That's to say that our main task is to go beyond fragmentation. Amid that chaos, we find another reality that distorts all our perceptions, such as the coexistence of two different and complementary realities. In a complex situation, nothing really dies or disappears. On the contrary, different media, technologies, supports, etc., pile up on each other, leading to the chaos. We've been announcing the death of various technologies and media for decades, and most of them are still here with us. Conventional agencies are perfectly aware that the future belongs to the new media, and that's the only way to go, whereas most of their income still comes from conventional media. So from that situation, and I finish, sprouts the need of a new creative director figure. Someone with the capacity to find those big ideas, to find, not to have, very important, that will always be the foundation of our business. Note that I've said find, not have. Someone with the skill to manage all the unlimited, multicultural, and multidisciplinary talent that technology can provide. Someone, finally, with the ability to develop the vast number of different implementations of that demanded by the present fragmentation. That role will be central to the model of the agency of the future, or at least the one I like. An agency without creatives, without a creative department, a combination of strategic thinkers, producers, and multidisciplinary creative directors, working together in the search of the big idea and managing the talent outsourcing when needed. Something somehow similar to a production company, devoted to the development of strategies and ideas, and with the ability to outsource the enormous amount of executions that big idea will need in order to be conveyed in this fragmentary and complex world. That agency, without a creative department, has indeed the biggest creative department in the world, the creativity of the crowds. So this new collaboration stage that unfolds in front of us will demand that new role, creative director of creative directors. Someone eager to unlearn some given ideas, willing to work in the strategic field. That's something that was originally linked to the creative direction and has been lately neglected, and capable of manage and coordinate multidisciplinary teams. Okay, that's my opinion. Do you have any questions? Thank you.